Welcome back to another episode of Harmonious at Lunch, the show that fuels your business success. I'm Brandon Gano, your host and guide through the world of harmonious business growth. Today, we're unlocking powerful strategies with industry experts to help your business thrive. If you're a business owner, entrepreneur, or executive, you are in the right place. Join me and our incredible guests today on the journey to clarity, growth, and success. It is time to revolutionize your approach to business. Let's dive in with another episode of Harmonious at Lunch. Welcome back. We got some more bite-sized business advice for you. We got a good episode about how the key to success is doing everything on your own. If you want it done right, you got to do it yourself. I have an amazing guest, Jake Clendenning here. Jake, did I get that right? Did I introduce the episode?
You did a brilliant job there. Yeah, great job, man.
No, we were talking before we started recording. If you want something done right, leverage somebody else. We're talking about leverage, and that's the key to success. Jake is an executive business strategist, and we were just riffing and jamming before we started recording. I'm excited for this episode. So, Jake, thank you for being here. I'm excited to dive in.
Yeah, Brandon, thanks for having me. And I laugh about that because you and I both know if you want something done right, you got to do it yourself. Man, that is a historic lie that we tell each other and tell ourselves as entrepreneurs and even big business owners. I mean, it's such a lie. And we have so much pride in what we do. Like we grew the business, we built the thing. I'm the only one my customers want to work with. Those are all limiting beliefs, man. Every one of those. And we just know that it's such baloney.
Absolutely. But it's so true. And it happens to everybody, it happens to the best of us. And I think when you first start working with somebody, I assume you run into that mindset a lot. Like, what's the first step for you? Is it breaking that mindset, or is it painting the picture of what life could look like if they throw that mindset out the door?
Yeah. And I would say that it's relative to, each individual is a little bit different of where we're going to start with that. And the answer to that is yes, right? The answer to that is yes, because almost everybody, I don't care if you're an entrepreneur or a solopreneur or you're a C-suite executive, 500, 1,000 employees, $1 billion valuation, we get that same mindset that's in there. We stick into that limiting belief. It depends what I hear first when we're having those consultations or those coaching conversations. Sometimes they are confrontational.
Different conversation, yeah.
Yeah, it's totally that way sometimes. It depends on what I'm going to hear first. Like if they're going to come in and are like, none of my people are doing the right thing and I can't trust any of them. We're going to switch into a leadership mode, because it's not necessarily that they're not doing it right. It's that if I'm saying that, I'm not showing up as a leader, I'm showing up as a manager. And there's a big difference between the two. So we're going to dig into that range. If they're coming at it, if they haven't hired anybody, and I can't trust anybody to do any of these other things, then we have a leadership problem as well, because that's a huge piece of that trust triangle in leadership is I have to trust they're going to do it. They have to trust me that it's right. We have to trust each other so that wherever we're headed, we're going that direction. And whether it's a direct employee that you're hiring out for leverage, which is very, very common, and or it's a service. If you're a Fiverr chaser, right? If you're that person that's doing it, if you're hiring VAs, if you're hiring services and contractors and contracts and that type, you've got to trust they're going to get that done. Now, what's the best way that they're to figure out that trust? It's setting proper expectations is really where it's got to go back to in the beginning. So anytime that somebody's going to tell me, if we're in a coaching conversation, I can't trust that they're going to get that done, I'm going to walk down an expectations road. All right, awesome. Tell me how you set it up to make sure your expectations are so clear a caveman could figure it out, right? We remember those Geico commercials. They have them even on now. They're still there. They're resurging that because there's some truth in it. It's got to be so clear anybody can do it. And you've got to ask the right questions at the end of it that are, okay, Brandon, I told you 1, 2, 3, A, B, C. Tell me what you heard. And you've got to be able to repeat that back to me so that we have agreement, right? I can set the expectation, but a lot of times the communication that's in my head isn't what comes out of my mouth or shows up as I type it out in email. So I've got to ask them, what is your understanding? What's your deadline? What's your process? Where are you going? I've got to use coaching as a leadership style And that's leveraging as well, right? Because I shouldn't be doing, and my staff will tell you, there's plenty of things I shouldn't be touching, that even today I will still touch some of those things, but I've also given them permission to tell me to stop. Hey, this is not your wheelhouse. You told me you're not supposed to do it. Get out of my stuff. And that's accountability is love. So there's a lot of things that I threw out there really, really fast in what that coaching conversation really looks like. But I would tell you, it starts with expectations, making sure they're clear, making sure we have agreement on that expectation, and understanding that if I'm not trusting other people, it's going to get done. That's a limiting belief on my part.
That's super, super powerful, because that's worth diving into. In a separate context, you have to understand what's holding you back as a leader.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe, we run into this, that sometimes the leader, the founder, the CEO is not the one that should be the leader. They started the business because they love the product, they love the service, they're the artist, if you will, and they've grown it to 40, 50, 100 employees. They just want to be doing that one thing that they started doing the business to love, and you need to hire a CEO. So that's always our goal, to be fully transparent for you, Jake, and you, the listener, is we want the person who hires us out of that role as soon as possible, because the founder should not be the CEO unless that's like their core passion in life. We want them to be the chairman of the board. So Jake, let's walk through this. Whether you're from a solopreneur startup, you have 50 employees, or somewhere in between, what's the path that you take when you start working with somebody so that you can get them to chairman of the board as quickly as possible?
Such a good point, Brandon. Such a good point. And there's I don't remember who said it first. I've heard it said a million times. Think with the end in mind. So this is challenging for so many entrepreneurs and so many business owners. A lot of them really struggle with, what are my goals for this year? Like, we fight with that all the time, versus 10 years from now, Brandon and I are having a conversation, and tell me what your business is doing 10 years from now. What's the scalability? How many employees? What's your revenue? What are all the things? That's a challenging mindset for us to think about, because there's a reason we have to push this. We can't let it off the hook. You make the absolute right place, because as a visionary, and there's several books out about talking about visionary at this point, versus a CEO C-suite role. As a visionary, what do we do? How big can we go? How big's our mindset? Blind. Sorry about that. They attack you some days. Frequently, what we see from an executive that comes in is they have a vision that is about 5 years old. They can get to 5 years in their head. With that avatar at 5 years, are you still in that seat? And if you moved out of that seat in 2 years, where's the business at 5 years? So it's a different question structure. And if they can only see 5 years, that is really, really clear. Like, you can ask at that point from a coaching perspective, all right, so does the business close down at 5 years? Oh, no, it's still going. All right, is it stagnant at 5 years? Nope, it's growing. All right, so if your vision is to grow it to here in 5 years, 3 years is when we start your succession planning. And we start to move you out of that role. In order for the business to grow from 5 years to a 10-year vision, which you can't see, who has to be in that role? Who's that person? Because it can't be you. It can't be the same avatar. So you can write your job description, who you are today. Who am I? What's the vision? How big do I want to get? What are my personal goals? And then you have to 10x that. There's a great book out there that 2x is harder than 10x is basically what it is. And it's totally true. Totally true. And that's about leverage. That's about hiring that next iteration of yourself. There are lots of people that are, hey, I only want to be in this game for a year. Awesome. So who are we hiring next week? So it's really thinking way back of who we have to your point, who's the person that's going to run that? Is it a CEO? Is it a board of directors? Is it an advisory board? What's your role? Are you going to be the president? Are you going to be the CEO? And here's what we totally know is true. There are very few visionaries or entrepreneurs that are leaders of men, that are managers of people. They're junk at hiring. And there's probably a lot of people that are feeling seen right now. They're useless for hiring. They wait till it's an emergency, and then they put a warm body in that space and expect them to thrive and grow into that role. Well, if you're doing that, and you are not the head of HR. Step out of that, hire the person that should be doing it. Like there's a whole industry of recruiters out there that's what they're there for. Leverage the hiring. If you know you're not good at, don't do it. For the love of your business in your bank account, don't hire the wrong person, because we know the wrong hire will cost you millions of dollars. The right hire will make you tens of millions of dollars. So let the right people do that. And the same is true of you. You're a visionary. Like, you can sit on the board as an advisory role. You built the company. You still have love for that thing. And you can say, this is where I think I see it going in a few years, and let other people execute on the vision. Because don't be the bottleneck. You don't need to be that person. So that's where I start to roll with it, much like you do, is figuring out what their capacity is for thinking is really the place to start. Are they capable of 1 year vision? Are they capable of a 5-year vision? Not a lot of people are capable of 10-year vision because they just aren't trained in that space. Here's the other thing that we know, and I've heard this said a million times. Everybody will largely overestimate what they can do in 1 year, and they will wildly underestimate what they can do in 5.
Or 10 when you stretch it out that far. Yeah, it's
really have no idea what they can do in 10.
Yeah.
And I'm not different. I'm not different. By no stretch of the imagination am I telling you that I have the capacity to pull out the crystal ball and forecast my business model truly and effectively at 5 years. Can I set a goal for it? Yes. Can I make adjustments along the way? Launch and adjust. Absolutely. And I'm completely capable of doing that. Has the vision changed? Has it gotten bigger for my companies? Absolutely. Have I had to pivot? Absolutely. Have I had to hire other people that are better at this stuff? Absolutely. And look at the technology we've got to leverage now. Like, never before do we have the technology to leverage. Even if you're wildly inept at operating technology, you can still use ChatGPT. Use the paid version. I don't get paid for that, but the paid version is so much better than, just use it conversationally to leverage pieces of your business. I'll tell you a great way that I used it to leverage. So I recently released my second book, and I used ChatGPT not to write the book. That's cheating. I used it as an editor. It saved me mountains of time, and it saved my editor even more. So literally, I would take a chapter, finish the writing, plug it into ChatGPT with a prompt that I had it generate. I want you to generate a prompt that does this thing. So I had it generate the prompt that I could plug back in. And it was literally, I want you to edit the following text for spelling, grammar, sentence structure, and flow. Make any suggestions in italics at the plug the chapter in there. It would go through, redo the whole thing, pull it across, copy and paste back into the chapter section in a couple minutes. If I was left to do that, I'd still be doing it, and it would still be wrong. So it's use the tools, use the people. Leverage is, as Brandon says, one of his favorite words. It's one of my favorite words. And know it.
You know why it's one of my favorite words? Because I think for me, I just realized a long time ago, I'm not qualified to do like 99.9% of things required to run a business.
Yeah.
But what I'm really good at is seeing the overall structure and what needs to be done. Should I even be using ChatGPT? No, I really, really shouldn't. I'm not qualified for even that.
Right.
And Jake, just to bring this home for you, I mean, are you qualified to use the camera? Before we got on here, maybe you had a little technical issue.
Yeah. Welcome to every morning and a new update. Yeah. 100%. Somebody should be
right.
setting this up for me. You're absolutely right.
We know what we're good at and how to leverage out other people's skills. But so I want to dive into that before we wrap up here. And real quick, before we do that, I want to toss your website on the screen. If someone wants to work with you, wants to help you leverage them or leverage their company for success, it's ctimpact.net. And that'll be down in the show notes too if you're listening, not watching. But so I want to figure this out. I think solopreneurs get stuck in this trap a lot because if you don't launch and grow quickly, you get stuck in the habit of just doing, and then you are the bottleneck. But then even when you get past those key revenue marks, the 6-figure mark, the 500,000, the 1,000,000 mark and beyond, when you have a team, we are still conditioned to, like we started the episode, if you want it done right, do it yourself. And we do things first and expect to then hand them off. That just slows down your company growth. So what is the quickest way to embrace leverage, and how do you go about doing that and installing that sort of a business model in your clients' companies?
So there's no easy button. I wish there was in business. There's no
silver bullets. There's no silver bullets.
Yeah,
Come on.
and there should be. I want to take the red pill. Right? It's just one of those things. If you're a Matrix fan,
Matrix
I want to get it there. It's a decision, right? It's a choice. It's a decision. That's the easiest as it gets. The decision is going to be, what's my revenue? What's my goal? And if it is, whatever it is, it's your number. It's cool. If it's 6 figures, I need to make $100,000. That's the excessive growth of my business. I don't ever see it getting bigger than that. Cool. That's your business. You at that moment need to look at it and go, okay, historically, how much has it made? And if you're constantly making, I'm going to use the $100,000 mark, right? No harm, no foul. I could use $1 million, and that's fine, but we'll just use 100 because it's easy. If you've historically been making $60,000, and here's where the mindset shift needs to occur. If historically it's been 60, your goal is 100. What has to change? Now, from normal old school thinking, conventional thinking, those of us that had a job at one point in our life said, well, I'll just work some overtime. I'll work harder. I'll work more hours. I'll plug in deeper. No, that's a lie. Your capacity is 60% of what your company's revenue is. Your capacity is 60%. It will not increase through more education. It will not increase through more dedicated time because it's going to take away from something else. You have to understand and make the decision in that moment. I need to increase revenue by 40%. Therefore, I have to leverage something. Something's not getting done. There's something I suck at. And there's something you suck at. By and large, as a business owner, it is lead generation. I'm either not making the phone calls on my sales side of my funnel. That is a huge piece. And everybody immediately wants to leverage that and have somebody else call. That's true. It's a little bit of cheating just because you're being lazy. Let's be honest. People want to do business with people they know, like, and trust. You are the face of your brand. You still need to be in front of lead generation. Your percentage, your 60% is there. It's the administrative stuff. It's all the stuff that you don't want to pay to get done. Like, I hear this all the time. I can't afford to hire somebody new. That's a total lie. You cannot afford not to hire somebody. That's what increases your revenue. That's what pays for them. And it's a 4X investment. Warren Buffett stuff, man. Your ROI's got to be your return on investment, throwing acronyms, I know, has got to be 4 times what it's going to be. If you're going to invest in hiring a virtual assistant, you're an executive assistant, leverage something, a piece of technology that somebody else runs, and you're paying $10,000 for it, your return should be $50,000. So you're making 4 times the investment. That's where it should be. So there's your gap. Like, okay, I made 60,000. I need to get to 100. I need to invest 10K into this person, into this thing, because that makes me 40K. Like, you've just got to get to the data, because the data doesn't lie to us, guys. The data does not lie to us. If the data tells me I'm only ever worth $60,000 a year, because that's historically what it's been, that's my habit. That is my capacity. I have to hire somebody that can make 40 or 100 or 200. And I would also tell you, get it through your head to always hire better than you are. If you are afraid to hire that person or that, that company because you feel they are way beyond you where you're at, that's the right hire, because they are going to pull you out of your rut. If you hire somebody that you feel is at your level or below, guess what results you're going to get? The same result you've always gotten. You want to get something different, you have to do something different.
That right there is the quote of the episode, because it's true. That's why we get in ruts, is because all we do is look backwards, say, okay, what got me here? Great, I'll do more of that, like you said. And that's just never, ever a mindset that's going to get you to that next level, whatever the next level is, 100,000, million, 10 million, wherever you are. I see these same things happening at every one of those levels. Jake, I'm sure you do too. And it has nothing to do with the person, the industry, the company size. It's always the mindset. So Jake, I really appreciate this conversation. Thank you for coming here and sharing your wisdom.
Yeah, Brandon, thank you so much, man. It's always fun to just have these conversations with people that get it.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. I'll give you, the listener, first of all, if you made it this far, A, check out the website on the screen in the show notes. B, are you subscribed yet? Why are you not subscribed? Like, come on, we're here to disrupt the way you think about growing your business every single day. And I want to leave you with that. The disruptive question that we ask all of our clients is, we like to ask complex questions or multi-part questions to stretch your brain noodle to think outside that box. How can I, this is just an example, but use questions like this. This is what Jake is getting at. How can I double my company's revenue and profit and work 50% of how much I am now? You probably won't be able to find an answer just by thinking about that for 5 minutes, but you will be able to get outside of that box you're currently in, try new solutions, or look for new people like maybe Jake who can help you with this. So I encourage you to start asking better questions so you get better results. What got you here won't get you there. We'll see you on the next episode of Harmonious at Lunch. The same link that got you here will get you to that episode, though. So make sure you do that. We'll see you on the next